I still have a couple of more movies that are supposed to show up. Like one is Pan with Hugh Jackman, and the other one I. Okay, this is like take three. I did one recording where I did the whole open everything with the little knife thing, and I knocked the camera over and realized I had stuff in the shot that shouldn't be there, like this cup because I'm too lazy to clean up, and also that I had this microphone, so it's like I probably should use it. I spent all this money on it, so I don't know if I'm going to use audio from the phone to this, see how that happens, see how everything turns out. Also, ignore the little mole there. I realized I started to go thin at the top, so shaved everything off. Kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do about that. Now, I want to hold up all these movies, but I kept knocking this camera over, so I'm going to try and just do it separately. So I guess I can take. There's no digital code in this one, so I probably set that one aside. So this is pretty much what I've got. Now I have a couple more movies that are coming, like Pan with a Hugh Jackman and some other film that I can't recall the name of at the moment. But I'll probably just add those into the description and like later. So yeah, this is pretty much it. Maybe like in a day or two. So if you don't get anything today, check back in the 2 or 3 days, and it might be another code down there. All right, so we'll start off with let's do this real quick. We'll start off with Parasite. Now, this is supposed to be a pretty good movie. I didn't see it. I was going to see it when it came out. Well, actually, there's like an anime called Parasite. So when I first heard people talking about, oh man, Parasite's so great, Parasite's so great, I was like, well, I didn't know they made a live action version of Parasite. And then I realized it wasn't that. I was like, oh, I don't want to see this. And then everyone was praising it, so I figured, well, that's pretty good. I almost went and saw that at like a little boutique theater a few months after it came out. I was there for something else, but I never went back to go check it out. Next up is Gemini Man. Now this movie is supposed to be pretty mediocre. Like the general consensus is, if this movie had come out 20 years ago, it would have blown people's minds. But seeing it now is not that great. But allegedly, the picture quality is supposed to be pretty good. So I picked that up in 4K. I don't currently have a 4K TV, but I plan on buying one next year. So I'll finally be able to use some of these 4K Blu-rays. And I figured now that since a lot of these Blu-rays are on sale, now's the time to kind of buy them while they're cheap. Next up is The Hunt. And this movie is kind of mediocre. It's all right. I think it's worth a watch. I mean, there was a lot of controversy on this movie when it came out from conservative snowflakes, but I don't understand why anyone would get mad or triggered by this movie. The back is if you have Universal Rewards points, you can add those up and get a free movie. So yeah, this movie is it's okay. I mean, it's like it's toothless. I think it tries to be offensive to like both left and right leaning people, but it doesn't want to go too far one way, so it kind of ends up being kind of like, I don't really get the point. It's kind of like, if you're gonna go that way, you need to go all in, and it just kind of goes part of the way to play it kind of safe, not to really piss anyone off. And I think that's to the detriment of the movie, but it's enjoyable. Next up is The Invisible Man. Now this one got a lot of hype. It came out just as Corona was starting to make the rounds, so it was lucky enough to get in there and make its money when it could. I haven't seen this one, but I've pretty much heard everything about the whole plot of the movie, so I'm kind of interested in checking it out. It's a pretty interesting take on the classic of The Invisible Man, which I didn't even realize it was based on that. Even though it has the same title, because I knew they weren't going to go that way with some guy just happening to turn invisible. Next up is Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. Now this is one of those movies like Abraham Vampire Hunter where like I wanted to see it in the theaters, but I just never got around to it because it's so kind of weird and quirky. That's just like right up my alley. So I heard this movie is bad, but hopefully I enjoy it. So I don't know what you guys did for your Black Friday, if you did a lot of shopping. I pretty much only got movies. I wasn't gonna do buy any movies for Black Friday, but it's one of those things that once you start seeing those sales for like $4, $5, it's like, man, I gotta get it. I gotta get it, and it just kind of adds up. So here's Divergent, the series. I have not seen any of these movies. I think I saw my mom when I went visiting once. She was watching one of these. It seemed kind of interesting. I mean, these little teen fantasy young adult movies, they're all kind of the same. So, I mean, it seemed perfectly fine. So I figured this was like $7. So I figured maybe one of these days I'll watch that. Next up is Disney's Aladdin. Now, this is the only one of these Disney live action remakes that I've seen. Uh, I was kind of interested in Beauty and the Beast, but kind of like not really. It didn't seem all that great, not with Emma Watson as the lead. But this one, I mean, Aladdin is probably my favorite Disney movie. That one and maybe The Little Mermaid. So like those two, I would probably go to the theater to see, but not anything else. I mean, I was kind of tempted for The Lion King, but it's kind of like, yeah, I can watch that at home. So that movie is pretty good. It's not nothing amazing, but I'd watch the sequel if they make it. Next up is Crawl. This is a movie about a giant alligator that shows up during a hurricane, and I guess I'm assuming Florida. This movie got a lot of praise back when it came out. I don't know how good it is actually. This actually comes with a 3-month trial for Shudder at the back, but I think I'm going to use that for myself, assuming it's still valid. Now, one of these has like a 30-day trial to Shudder. I'm pretty sure that's like the standard they give out, but if it's not, then I guess you can use that. Next up is Hansel and Gretel. This is another movie that when I saw the trailer for, I was just like, that's my kind of movie. That's the kind of thing I'll go to the theaters and see. Well, other than superhero movies. But I didn't do it. So be happy to finally get to see this movie. It looked kind of like just weird enough without being too indie to be off-putting to me. So I should check that out. Hopefully, if you get this code that you like the movie, it's not too weird. Next up, this is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen. Requiem for a Dream. It has Marlon Wayans in it, but don't let that scare you. He's actually, if he wants to be, he's a really good actor. And this movie was pretty fantastic. It's one of those movies where I downloaded a bootleg of it, and I just sat on my computer for like years, like 2 or 3 years. And one day I just finally got around to watching it. This movie like totally blew me away. I was like, wow, I heard, I mean, people talked positively about this movie, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. So I'm very happy to own it. I don't know if I want to watch it again. It's a little depressing, but it's definitely worth the watch. Next up is Teen Titans Season 2. Now, I heard that this is a lot better than the first season, but I don't know from experience. I haven't watched either season yet. So here's the code. But it definitely looks better. Like maybe they had a better idea of what they wanted to do for the second season. Although I remember hearing that some people didn't like the villain or the way they handled it. Next up is Ma. I think this is another Blumhouse movie. Now this is one of those movies where it just looks so weird from the trailer. I was kind of surprised that this was an actual real movie that was out in theaters. I kind of considered going to see it, but from what I heard in the reviews, it doesn't quite go as far as you think it would. It's not as, I mean, it's weird, but it's not like that horrible of a horror movie like the trailer would have seemed to imply. So I didn't go watch it in theaters, but I'll probably get around to checking that out. Next up is Pacific Rim Uprising. Now, I did not like the first Pacific Rim. I went and saw it in the theaters and I fell asleep. So I wasn't too excited about the sequel, but I think maybe when it came out, it had nothing else was coming out that week, or maybe because it was had John Boyega in it. So I went ahead and checked it out, and I like this movie. It got a lot of flack, I think mainly because it has a lot of pandering to China in it, and a lot of people are kind of triggered about that these days. But I enjoyed the movie a lot, and I think I recommend giving that a shot if you just like dumb action movies. And I think lastly is a Rocket Man. Now I didn't see Bohemian Rhapsody. I still need to pick that up, but I wasn't really too sure about I wasn't too sure about that movie when it came out because it seemed to be so unfaithful to Freddie Mercury's life. It's just like a musical, so it's kind of like I want to see it, but I kind of didn't want to financially support that. So this movie, I'm kind of happy to get because while it's not faithful to Elton John, I know actually on the back you can see like his little book here, but it seems like it's in the spirit of Elton John. So I'm really happy to check this one out. Hopefully it's not too rainbowy to enjoy. I think that's it. I think I forgot. There's no digital code in here, but there is a free trial for Shudder, like a 30-day trial. I don't know if that's like the standard free trial or not. So I better go ahead and just put this on here in case you want that. That seems like it's kind of a generic code, but there you go. So that's all. So I hope you managed to get something if you saw something that you liked, and I hope you had some success Black Friday shopping on your own. Now, I might still pick up like 3 or 4 things here and there, but I don't think I'll do another video. So hopefully you enjoyed, and maybe I'll see you next year. All right, bye.